firstborn was unrelenting too. Marduk, my temple in the north city, his own abode made, so he said. Ishkur, Enlil's youngest son, demanded punishment. In my lands to whore after him the people he made, he said. Utu, son of Nanar, Marduk's son Nabu, his wrath directed. And this goes on, and this is like on and on. This is like an argument. I'm gonna fuck you up. No, I'm gonna fuck you up. No, I'm gonna fuck you up. No, I'm gonna fuck you up. Or, pissing contest, essentially. Nergal, lord of the lower domain, ferociously was demanding, let the olden weapons of terror for obliteration be used. The olden weapons of terror for obliteration, meaning that those were, something from the weapons of the past of this civilization. Kind of like what we see people in the future will see nuclear weapons on Earth. Let the olden weapons of terror for obliteration be used. At my own son I gazed in disbelief, for brother against brother the terror weapons have been forsworn. Sounds familiar. I mean, why do we think we're in a constant state of war? I mean, that was Brantley's whole premise for the gods of Eden. Well, there you go. That's all we know. That's what the people who created us, or who we call gods, who we are the victims of a gigantic science experiment of. No wonder nobody's ever tried to, no wonder other extraterrestrial races haven't tried to get a hold of us, man. No, we're the bastard sons of the universe. We are. We're the red-headed stepchildren of the galaxy.
That's funny.
And we wonder why we arm against each other, why we have weapons, and we're all people, man. Why do we want to kill each other? Because the people of the bloodlines who were in positions of power around the globe,
I need to go get a gimbal today.
From presidents to congressmen to senators to royalty to the crown to all across the board, banking houses, religious institutions, all of these bloodline people are trying to become gods themselves. And to become like their gods, their creators, our creators, to become like them because they feel that because they're of the pure bloodline, that gives them the right to do it. It gives them the right to do everything that their creators did. And if that means endless war and everybody killing each other, then so be it, because that's what they did. For brother against brother, the terror weapons have been forsworn. Instead of consent, there was silence. In the silence, Enlil opened his mouth. Punishment there must be. Like birds without wings, the evildoer shall be. Marduk and Nabu of our heritage are depriving us of our heritage. Let them deprive the place of the celestial chariots. I'm sort of reading this slow and kind of, it's all the words are kind of reversed to what we would say it, so I'm trying to reverse them a little bit and say them, so they're easier to understand for you. Let this place be scorched to oblivion, Ninurta shouted. Let the one who scorches be me. Let me do it. Let me fucking set this place on fire. Let's scorch this motherfucker to oblivion. Let me pull the trigger. That's what Ninurta is saying. Excited, Nergal stood up and shouted, let the evildoers' cities also be upheavaled. The sinning cities, let me obliterate. Let the annihilator, my name, be thereafter. The earthlings by us created, the earthlings that were created by us must not be harmed. The righteous with the sinners must not be perished, I forcefully said. Ninarshog, my creating helpmate, was consenting. The matter is between the gods alone to settle. The people must not be harmed. I knew from the celestial abode to the discussions was giving much heed. I knew who determines fates from his celestial abode. His voice made heard. Let the weapons of terror be used this once. Let the place of the rocket ships be obliterated. Let the people be spared. Let Ninurta the Scorcher be.
That's a magnetic signature there.
Let Nergal be the Annihilator.
Or something to do with the cloud seeding.
So did Enlil announce
the decision.
What I mean?
If it causes a gap in the clouds.
To them, a secret of the gods I shall reveal. The
And
hiding
they're
place
seeding
of the
these
terror
clouds. When
weapons
I
to
read
them I
about it
shall
yesterday, it's
disclose.
some kind of
The
iod.
two sons, one mind,
All you
one
gotta do is
his,
Google cloud
to his
seeding.
inner chamber in Lil Summit. Nurgle, as he went
But
by
I mean,
me,
I just see it as a
averted his
means of them
gaze to me.
hiding whatever the hell's going on
Alas, I
behind it,
cried
you know?
out without words, brother has turned against brother. Other prior times fated to repeat? A secret from the olden times to them in Lil was revealing. They had entrusted in their hands the weapons of terror. Clad with terror, with a brilliance they are unleashed, and they touch to dust and turn in the heap of dust, turn everything into dust, essentially is what they're saying. For brother against brother on earth they were forsworn, and neither reach into effect. Now the oath was undone like a broken jar in useless pieces. The two sons, full of glee, with quickened step from Enlil's chambers emerged, for and the weapons depart. You mean they launched the weapons? The other gods turned their back to the cities. None of his own calamity had a foreboding. Which means, they got the fuck out of there. Now this is the account of the prior times and of the weapons of terror. Before the prior times was the beginning. After the prior times was the olden times. In the olden times, the gods came to earth and created the earthlings. In the prior time, none of the gods were on earth, and the earthlings were not yet fashioned. They were not yet made. In the prior times, the abode of the gods was on their own planet. Nibiru is its name. A great planet, reddish in radiance, around the sun, an elongated circuit Nibiru makes. It has a long orbit, allegedly. For a time in the cold is Nibiru engulfed, for part of its circuit by the sun strongly is it heated. So every time it does a rotation, it gets so close to the Earth that it heats up. But because it's got such a slow orbit, life was able to flourish there, essentially is what they're saying. A thick atmosphere envelops Nibiru by volcanic eruptions. All manner of life this atmosphere sustains, but without the atmosphere there will only be dying, perishing. In the cold period, the inner heat of Nibiru keeps the planet warm, like a warm coat. In the hot period, it shields Nibiru from the sun's scorching rays. In the midst, I guess in the springtime, it rains and it holds and releases to lakes and streams, giving rise. Lush vegetation our atmosphere feeds and protects. All manner of life in the waters and on land has been caused to sprout. After eons of time, our own species sprouted, and by our own essence, an eternal seed was used to procreate. Which basically says, an eternal seed was used. I mean, something came along and created them. You know, they may be the gods that created mankind, but somebody created them too. Who was it? See, I mean, we're not even ready to ask that question as a people on this planet, are we? You know, that if there is a god or gods, most likely that god or gods has a god too, someone who created them. Well, who is that? You know, this is going to start to open up more questions than it is answers. As our numbers grew, to many regions of Nibiru, our ancestors spread. Some tilled the land, some four-legged creatures shepherded. Like, they had dogs, is what it means. I knew dogs were from another planet. Fucking cats, too. Bastards. I love dogs and cats, though. They're great. Fucking love them. And sometimes, man, you get a good one. You're like, man, you are not from this planet. My cat, I don't know what the fuck planet my cat's from. He ain't from here, though. I swear he's a spy from Syracuse.